Do you really need to avoid glycerin in high humidity? You've probably heard this popular glycerin tip or myth before, or even experienced it yourself. But today I'm going to share with you why the glycerin in your products might not actually be the problem that you think it is. And if you watch until the end, I'll share with you the best humidity-proof curly hair products. If you're new here, I'm Delilah, and my channel is all about simplifying curly hair so you can finally have the curly hair you want without spending a ton of money or time on your hair. So first up, let's talk about what glycerin is, just really basic so that we can understand what the purpose of this ingredient is, what it does, and maybe will help us realize that we may be inadvertently villainizing this ingredient. Glycerin is a humectant that attracts and retains moisture. Now, humectants are ingredients that attract moisture from the environment, and they are really popular in both skincare and hair care products. Some common humectants include glycerin, sodium PCA, sodium lactate, propylene glycol, agave, honey, hyaluronic acid, sorbitol, butylene glycol, and there's a ton more, but those are the ones that you will see most often in formulations. Now, the process that these humectants work to attract the moisture is a process that's called adsorption, with a D, not a B. So it's a little different from absorption. So I'm going to read to you the description of what adsorption is. Adsorption describes a different process when atoms and molecules are attracted to and adhere to a surface. The bonds that are formed are pretty weak, so the two substances can be easily separated. So basically what that is saying is that the way that humectants are structured, it attracts moisture from the air around it and it kind of attaches itself to it. So it adheres to the surface. So it's not really absorbing, it's like attaching to the surface. This is a key thing to note. Glycerin specifically holds up to 25% of its weight in water. So that is a pretty high end as far as humectants go, but there's some other ones that are pretty close to it. So those are known as like the stronger humectants. Propylene glycol, sodium PCA, and sodium lactate, I think, are others that are pretty similar to glycerin. Now, these humectants provide some really great benefits for curly hair, which is why you will find them in a ton of products. They provide lightweight moisture, which is really great for pretty much any hair type. They add slip and softness to the hair. They help the hair hold onto water for longer, which is key for moisture. We especially need that when we have curly hair. And they generally help the hair absorb water because, remember, it's attracting the water molecules to it, so it's helping our hair hold onto more water. So lots of positives here, and this is why you will find humectants in pretty much any formulation of a hair care product for all hair types. But they work especially well for curly hair, especially if you have a hair type that struggles with over conditioning, over moisturizing, or you have low porosity hair, then humectants are really great for those hair types. Now, there's also film-forming humectants, which is a subtype of humectants, and these are humectants that do the same thing. They work just like glycerin, but they also create a kind of barrier or film on the hair, much like the ingredients used in holding products or anti-humidity products. And so they don't have such a negative effect on hair like glycerin is associated with, because of this flexible barrier that they form around the hair. Now, a couple of film-forming ingredients are flaxseed, aloe vera, hydroxyethyl cellulose, which you will find in a ton of gels, xanthan gum, hydrolyzed proteins, and there's a bunch more, but those are the most common ones that you will find. So now that we have all that out of the way, we understand what glycerin is, what a humectant is, why it's so important to include them in formulations of curly hair care products. Let's get to this whole myth that glycerin and other humectants can cause frizz in high humidity because they absorb the water that's in the air around it. Now, this is definitely something that's possible. It can happen, but is this actually true? So when I looked around online, I tried to find some studies, or I checked a bunch of articles, and pretty much it was just a bunch of blog posts and Reddit forums and other kind of forums like that of people talking about their personal experiences with glycerin and hypotheses as to why glycerin is having this negative effect on curly hair in humidity. So I did find some research on glycerin and skincare, or humectants and skincare. Pretty much the overall theme of all of these studies was that it helps the skin to absorb and hold on to moisture for longer, which makes sense because that's pretty much what a humectant is supposed to do. And we know that skin and hair are pretty similar, so we can hypothesize that that effect will be the same on hair. Let's have a look at some anti-humidity products, because I want to point out something about the formulation and talk a little bit about formulation as well. First, let's have a look at the Ouidad Climate Control Heat and Humidity Gel. And if you scan through the ingredients, you'll find that they have multiple humectants in here: glycerin, hydrolyzed protein, and this is a product specifically formulated for high humidity. Then we have the BB Curl Anti-Humidity Gel Oil, where glycerin is the second ingredient. And we also have the Milkshake Lifestyling Amazing Spray, which is an anti-humidity spray. And we have dipropylene glycol as the second ingredient, which is also a humectant. So these three products that are formulated specifically for humidity still have humectants in them. Not only are they in them, but they are at the top of the ingredients list, like the second ingredient. So that makes me question, why would brands include these ingredients in their products that are formulated specifically for humidity if supposedly these ingredients don't work well in humidity or make our hair frizzy? Like, why would they do that and sell us products that won't work? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. Who's gonna wanna continue to buy a product if it's not working because of the ingredients that's in there? It's not really plausible that they're doing that on purpose. So the next thing I want to talk about is that we really need to look at overall formulations instead of kind of nitpicking at individual ingredients in products and blaming the fact that the product doesn't work for us on that one individual ingredient. Think about it like this. We're not taking a bottle of pure glycerin and pouring that onto our hands and slathering our hair with it and styling our hair with pure glycerin just because there's some glycerin in a product, right? If you look at a formulation of a product, there's 20, 30 ingredients in there. They are all in there at different percentages. So the way an ingredients list reads is the things at the top have the highest concentration, so the lower you go down, the less of that ingredient that's in there. So things at the top, I mean, still even those are like 5%. It's not like it's most of the product is made up of that one ingredient, especially when you have a ton of ingredients. If it's a small ingredients list, then it's possible, but usually that's not the case. So how much glycerin is really in the product if you're looking at the overall formulation? If it's not the first, second, third, fourth ingredient, I mean, there's barely anything in there. How can you say that that's the specific ingredient that's causing a problem when there's 25 other ingredients in here, some of them in higher concentrations? Right? There's other humectants as well. Glycerin is not the only one. People focus on glycerin, but it's just one of many humectants. Now, it is one of the stronger ones, but like I said, there's other ones that are very similar in strength, and so people don't really look at those and try to exclude ingredient or products that have those ingredients in them. Think about how individual ingredients behave on their own, but when you mix them together and create a formulation, that altogether is different. Now, this is a different product. It's not glycerin behaving the way glycerin does on its own, because now you have all these other ingredients working with it to maybe counter the negative effects of glycerin, and it's formulated in a way to work better overall, right? So you can't say that because a specific ingredient behaves a certain way on its own, it's going to have that same behavior when it's mixed with other ingredients. That's not how things work. Generally, hair care products are formulated to have a mix of ingredients that balance everything out, and they are going to provide moisture, things that improve the elasticity and softness of the hair, the shine, things that make your hair more manageable. They provide some hold, they reduce frizz. So they kind of include a mix of ingredients that do all these things and work together to overall provide a specific purpose, whether it's shampoo, conditioner, gel, whatever that product is. So when you think about the fact that ingredients in the products behave differently when they are mixed together, and the fact that glycerin is probably in less than 5% of concentration in that product, how can you really say that glycerin is the problem with the specific product? When you're talking about high humidity, there's so many things that affect your hair that can affect how your hair behaves in high humidity, right? So it's the extra moisture in the air that makes your hair misbehave, but there are so many different ingredients that can combat this. Glycerin and humectants are not the only ones. And so we really need to kind of look at the big picture and consider all the other things that come in play when we're talking about a humidity-proof routine and humidity-proof products. It's not only humectants. That said, let's talk about anti-humidity ingredients and holding ingredients. These are the other two things you really need to consider if you are having a problem with your products and your routine in high humidity. These ingredients, like anti-humidity and hold ingredients, will counter any negative effects of other ingredients that are in curly hair products. Anti-humidity ingredients include emollients, oils, butters, waxes, silicones, stuff like that. Polymers such as polyquats, silicones. It's pretty much ingredients that seal the hair. So think about if a product has humectants in it, if it also has anti-humectants in it, that's going to help counter those effects of a humectant. That's gonna help seal your hair, and like I've said in other videos and stuff, it's putting a raincoat on when it's raining outside. You're putting that barrier between the humidity and your hair with your anti-humidity product ingredients. These anti-humidity ingredients will help your hair from reacting to the environment around it. Now, we also have hold ingredients. That's really, really important in high humidity. The stronger the hold, the less your hair is going to be affected by the humidity. So the less hold you have, the more frizz you're gonna get in humidity. That's just the way it works. Now, most styling products will have some hold, but a lot of you are trying to use light hold styling products in high humidity, and that's just not gonna cut it. It's not gonna cut it. If it's high humidity, you really, really, really need strong hold. There's no way around it. If you want your hair to not have as much frizz, to not lose definition over time, to maintain its moisture, you need something that has a strong hold to hold in everything that you just put in your hair. So if the products that you're using have humectants and they do not have anti-humidity ingredients or hold ingredients, then that's a problem. That product is poorly formulated for high humidity. If we look at the WeDad Advanced Climate Control Gel again, then we can see all the green stuff that's highlighted. Those are the additional anti-humidity resistant and holding ingredients. So we've got a couple of polyquats and emollients, and you can see that some of them are pretty high up on the ingredients list. So they are really strong in this formulation, which is going to cancel out the supposed negative effects of a humectant. Looking at the BB Curl Anti-Humidity Gel Oil, this product has a ton of humidity-resistant ingredients in it. We can see lots of emollients, oils, butters. We also have some polymers, so this is going to provide some really good humidity protection and a little bit of hold. The Milkshake Lifestyling Spray has a much shorter ingredients list, but we can see ingredients number 3 and 4 are humidity resistant and emollients. So again, this is a product that's going to provide that shield for the humidity. And this is why I say it's so important to take the whole formulation into account instead of just focusing on 1 or 2 ingredients. The bottom line is that we do not need to avoid glycerin or other humectants in high humidity because most products are formulated with a mix of ingredients that work together to provide moisture and hold to curly hair. If you think glycerin is a problem, then you can definitely try some glycerin-free products for a period of time and assess your results and see if it really is a problem. It very well could be that your hair just doesn't really work well with glycerin, just like anybody can have an allergy to pretty much anything. I'm not saying that that's not possible. It definitely is a possibility, but it's not super common. And I don't think it's the reason that people are struggling with their hair in high humidity. The most likely reason that your hair is struggling in high humidity is that you're not using products that have enough hold. The overall formulation is just not ideal for high humidity, or some other user error like not applying enough product or not applying the product evenly throughout your hair so that it is not covering all of your hair. If you are struggling with frizz and hold in high humidity, then you want to be sure you're using products that are formulated to work well in high humidity. I recommend you watch this video next. It's called Humidity-proof Products for Curly Hair, and you'll learn which products I recommend to use for best results in high humidity. Just click the video you see on your screen and I'll see you there. So, Kika, sit down.